unit circle and the family of angles. First of all, a little reminder, a unit circle is a circle with a radius of 1. And what we're going to find out is there are certain points on our unit circle that we can calculate without the use of a calculator. And if we can calculate them without the use of a calculator, it's going to be expected that we can do that without a calculator. And we break it up into families. The first family that we're going to do is the axes family. That is all the points on the unit circle where the x and the y axes intersect the unit circle. So we have those 4 points on our unit circle. And what we're going to do for those 4 points is look at what are the degrees at those 4 points, what are the radians, what are the coordinates, and what is tangent at all 4 of those points. So we'll start off with degrees. In standard position, this would be 0 degrees. And also what I'm going to do on here is I'm going to sort of label things in the same place. So I'm going to label all of my degrees close to the middle here. This would be 90 degrees. Halfway around would be 180 degrees. This would be 270 degrees. And if I went all the way around, 0 degrees is coterminal with 360 degrees. I can now write the same one in radians. This is 0 radians, and all the way around is 2 pi. Probably I would do the 180 next, because that's halfway around. So that would be pi radians. Then if you know that 180 degrees is pi radians, it's pretty easy to figure out that 90 degrees is just half of that, or pi over 2. And similarly, we could figure out that 270 degrees is 3 pi over 2 radians. And since the unit circle has a radius of 1, and we look at the first red dot, we have just moved 1 unit to the right. How do we write that as a point? Well, my x-coordinate would be 1. My y-coordinate would still be 0. My radius is 1. This point at the top, I've moved 1 unit up. My x-coordinate would be 0. My y-coordinate would be 1. Moving 1 to the left, my x-coordinate is -1. My y-coordinate is 0. And moving 1 down, my x-coordinate is 0. My y-coordinate is -1. And with the labeling that we've done so far, we are now able to do mental math using the big idea for this unit for these angles. So remember, big idea number 1 is points on the unit circle are cos theta, sine theta. How do we use that big idea? Well, I'm going to ask you, what is sine of 90 degrees? JC, you get to pick the first volunteer. You pick someone. They have to answer this question. What is sine of 90 degrees? Who are you going to pick? Tyler. Oh, I'm going to beat you up. No. So now, here's our big idea. Coordinates are cos theta, sine theta. We've got 90 degrees, so we know that we're at this coordinate. What would sine of 90 degrees be? 1. Perfect. Okay, you get to pick the next volunteer. What is cos of pi? Who are you going to pick? Oh, surprise. So what is cos of pi? A number. So again, we go on here. We look, where's pi? Pi is this angle right here. We go to the coordinates, and our big idea is the x-coordinate is cos, the y-coordinate is sine. So then the cos of pi would be -1. You get to pick the next volunteer. You can't pick someone who's already been picked now, so we can keep going. What would be sine of 270 degrees? Who are you going to pick? -1. Perfect. Go to 270 degrees. Go to the coordinates. Sine is the y-coordinate. -1. What is sine of 2 pi? Round, who are you going to pick? Jack. 0. Perfect. What is cos of pi over 2? We're going to Perfect. Okay. Now I do that activity because at the beginning people are a little bit shaky on what does it mean. But after you randomly get picked a couple times, you got to pay attention, and it's pretty easy, right? Cos of 90 degrees, you go to 90 degrees, cos is your x-coordinate, it's 0. And now you can do all of these without your calculator. We can also do tangent. Using the big idea of tangent is sine theta over cos theta, I can go to 0 and write tan of 0. My y-coordinate is sine, that's 0 divided by 1, that will equal 0. So tan of 2 pi, tan of 360 degrees, tan of 0 is going to equal 0. When I get to the top, and I do tan of pi over 2, it would be sine, which is 1, over cos, which is 0, and you're not allowed to divide by 0, so we say that tan of pi over 2, we can either write undefined or not possible. Tan of pi over 2 does not exist. Tan of pi would equal 0 over negative 1, so it's equal to 0. And tan of 3 pi over 2, just like tan of pi over 2, is undefined as well. So our second big idea lets us figure out all of the tan values. Now, as we develop this unit circle, you are going to be adding more values and have more things that you have to have memorized. Okay? But this one, as long as you know the radius is 1, you can easily label all of those coordinates. As long as we know that 360 degrees is 2 pi, you can easily label all of the degrees and all of the radians. And that lets you do stuff like, now I can do stuff like cos of pi is negative 1. In fact, I could even do sine of 5 pi over 2. I'd have to go, oh, what is 5 pi over 2? 5 pi over 2 is more than once around. Where does it end? 5 pi over 2 is coterminal with pi over 2. So if I ask what's sine of 5 pi over 2, it's going to be exactly the same as sine of pi over 2. And it would equal 1 as well. So whichever colors you are using, make sure that you bring them back for tomorrow. We are going to do the rest of the families tomorrow since we moved the test to Monday. And that's where we'll end for today.